Good day, everyone.
Okay.
We are Group 5, and today we will be talking about depreciation. The term depreciation describes the decline in an asset's value over time as a result of normal wear and tear, obsolescence, or other circumstances. It is a widely used idea in engineering economics since it helps to spread out the cost of an asset over the course of its useful life and to assess a project's economic viability. There are several methods for calculating depreciation, and today we are going to discuss three methods, which are the straight line method, the declining balance method, and the sum of the years, digits, or SYD method.
So before we start to the actual discussion, we must know the important terms used in depreciation. And these are the first cost or basis. It is the initial cost of asset, commonly referred to as the total cost, includes the asset's purchase price, any setup or installation, or any disbursement to obtain the assets. The second one will be the recovery period, or N. The amount of time it takes for an asset to recover both its purchase price and any additional cost spent after acquisition, such as installation or setup fees. The second one will be the following one will be the salvage value or SV. Describe the estimated value of an item at the end of its useful life. Followed by the MV or the market value. It is the price an asset would bring on the open market. Then the following will be the book value or BV. It is the value of an asset after the accumulated depreciation has been subtracted from the asset's original cost. And the last one will be the DT or the depreciation rate or the recovery rate. It is a word used to describe how much of an asset value decreases annually. So what are the differences between the three methods? The straight methods is the simplest and the most wide used method of the calculating depreciation. It is the method of calculating the depreciation of an asset in which the same amount of depreciation is recognized each year over the useful life of the assets. Somehow, the declining balance method is typically result in higher depreciation expense in the early years of an asset life and the lower depreciation expense in the following years. It is the method of calculating the depreciation of an asset in which the amount of depreciation recognized each year is fixed percentage of the remaining book value of the assets. The last method will be the sum of the year's digits. It is similar to the declining balance method from the recent method, but the percentage applied to the asset's book value is calculated using the different formula. It is a method of calculating the depreciation of an asset in which the amount of depreciation recognized each year is fixed percentage of the asset's remaining useful life. So, same siya sa declining balance method, pero na siya pagkakuan lang, different sa formula.
The first method that we're going to discuss today is the straight line method. The straight line method is the most commonly used method for calculating depreciation. It involves calculating the total cost of an asset and dividing it by the asset's useful life to determine an equal annual depreciation expense. It is simple and easy to understand. That is why it is often used as a default method for calculating depreciation. However, it may not accurately reflect the actual decrease in value of an asset over time, as it does not take into account the fact that an asset's value may decrease more rapidly in the beginning of its life and slow down as it approaches the end of its useful life. Here are the formulas used in straight-line depreciation. First, we have the depreciation rate, which is 1 divided by n, or the recovery period. Second, we have the annual depreciation, which is quantity FC, or the first cost, subtracted by the SV, or the salvage value, multiplied by the depreciation rate. Now we know that the depreciation rate is 1 divided by n, so we can rewrite the equation as quantity FC minus SV divided by n. Lastly, we have the book value of year T, which is the FC, or first cost, subtracted by the T, or the year, multiplied by the annual depreciation. Example: an engineering firm purchases a new machine for $100,000 with a useful life of 10 years and a salvage value of $10,000. Calculate the annual SL depreciation and its book value for year 5. For this example, we need to identify what are the given. We have the first cost, which is $100,000, the recovery period, which is 10 years, and the salvage value, which is $10,000. we have Now that we have identified the given, we should also identify the required. We have the depreciation, which can be calculated using the formula dt is equal to quantity FC minus SV divided by n. And we also have the book value for year 5, which can be calculated using the formula BVT is equal to FC minus TDT. Now that we have identified the given and the required, we can start solving. First, we need to calculate the depreciation. And since we already have all the values we need, all we have to do is plug them into the formula. We have quantity FC, which is 100,000, minus SV, which is 10,000, divided by n, which is 10 years, and solve it using our calculator. The answer is $10,000. Therefore, the depreciation is $10,000 per year. Now that we have Now that we have the annual depreciation, we can solve for the book value at year 5 by plugging in the values into the formula as well and solve it in our calculator. The answer is $50,000. Therefore, the book value at year 5 is $50,000. If we get the book values from each year, we can see that it is going in a straight line, hence the name straight line method depreciation.
Thank you for that, Lloyd Miles. The second method will be the declining balance method, also known as the Matheson formula method. This method takes depreciation charge during the year as a fixed or constant percentage of the book value at the beginning of the year. Basically, it involves calculating depreciation at a higher rate in the earlier years of an asset's life and at a lower rate in the following years. To calculate the annual depreciation expense using the declining balance method, the following steps are typically followed. So first, we must determine the asset's total cost, useful life, and the salvage value. The second step will be calculating the depreciation rate. We will show the formula in the next page, but we will ato sa itabi ang kuan unsa ang steps. So the percentage of the assets value, that is depreciation each year. The rate can be calculated by dividing the assets useful life by the factors such as 2, 3, or 4. For example, if the asset's useful life is 10 years and the factor is 2, the depreciation rate would be 50%. The following step will be the calculating of the book value of the assets at the beginning of the year, which is the assets total cost minus the accumulated depreciation up to that point. The last step will be calculating the annual depreciation expense by multiplying the depreciation rate by the book value of the assets at the beginning of the year. So these are the formulas of the declining balance method. So in getting the depreciation rate, we must use the 1 minus n root over salvage value over first cost. So in getting the depreciation for year t, we must use the quantity d, bv, t minus 1. Also, we can use db, quantity of 1 minus d over the t minus 1. So in getting the book value for year t, we must use the b, quantity of 1 minus d over t. So where the BVT means the book value of year t, the DT is the depreciation of year t, the FC or B, first cost of basis, the SV will be the salvage value, and the N will be the recovery period, and the DT is the actual depreciation rate. So here is the example of declining method. An engineering firm purchases a new machine for $100,000 with an estimated salvage value of $5,000 after 10 years. Find its depreciation and the book value at the year 5 using the declining balance depreciation. So we know that the given first cost is $100,000 and the recovery period or N is 10 years and the salvage value or SV is $5,000. So the questions being asked will be we must find the depreciation at the year 5 and the book value at the year 5. So we all know that the formula we will use is D. So it will be 2 over N. So it will be 2 over 10 and it will be 2.2. So in getting the details, so we all know that the formula is dB, quantity of 1 minus d close to t minus 1. So we know that the d is 0.2 and the b is first cost, which is $100,000, and 1 minus 0.2, which is in the formula 1 minus d. So in t minus 1 also, we all know that at the year 5 minus 1, kaya ang 5 kay given na siya, then minus na to 1. So the answer will be the depreciation of the book at the year 5 will be $8,192. So now we will get the book value at year 5. The formula will be B 1 minus D over T. So we all know that the B, the first cost is $100,000 multiplied by 1 minus D. The D will be 0.2 over 5 and over T, which is 5. So the book value at the year 5 will be $32,768. $32,768.
Thank you for that, Lance. And the last method that we will be discussing is the sum of the year's digits method. This method is involved calculating depreciation based on the asset useful life and the number of years that have passed since the asset was acquired. This method is based on the assumption that an asset's value decreases more rapidly in the beginning of its life and slow down as it approaches in the end of its useful life. To calculate annual depreciation expense using SOYD method, the following steps are typically followed. First, determine the asset's total cost, useful life, and salvage value. Second, calculate the SYD fraction for each year of the asset's useful life, which is the number of remaining years divided divided by the sum of the years. Third is calculate the annual depreciation expense by multiplying the SOYD fraction for each year by the asset's total cost minus its salvage value. This formula is derived came from the arithmetic progression, where D is equal to depreciation cost, R is remaining useful life, N is equal to economic life, Dn is total depreciation cost. D is equal to 1 minus R times 1 plus N minus R over N times 1 plus N times Dn. Next, please. Example, Engineer Smith bought a Ryzen 7 1700s CPU for his computer during its release in 2017. The CPU was bought at $330 and it is estimated to still be relevant up to 2023. Even then, it would still cost $70. Using SYDM, how much does this CPU cost in 2020? First, let's find the given. The first cost is $330 and N is equal to 6 years because the CPU bought in 2017 and it can still be used in 2023. Third, our IR is equal to the third year. Kay ang gipangita ani nga problem kay ang book value sa third year. And the total cost rate is equal to first cost minus salvage cost. Ang salvage cost sa kaning problem is $70. So 330 minus 70 is equal to $260. Next, please. As you can see in the cash flow diagram, every year there are depreciation. So, ang gipangita kay book value man. So, before nimo makita ang book value, imo sa i-add ang depreciation every year. So, the formula is 1 minus R times 1 plus N minus R over N times 1 plus N times total depreciation cost. So, naa naman tayo mga given. I-put na lang sa formula. So, 1 minus 3 times 1 plus 6 minus 3 over 6 times 1 plus 6 times 260. Ang total depreciation kay $165.71 niya. Ang gipangita man sa problem kay book value. So, ang formula sa book value kay first cost minus the total depreciation. So, $330 minus 185.71. Ang value sa CPU sa 2020 kay $144.29.
So, additional info. In addition to these methods, there are also other factors to consider when calculating depreciation, such as the asset's salvage value and the method of depreciation. The salvage value is the estimated value of an asset at the end of its useful life, while the method of depreciation refers to the way in which the depreciation expense is recorded. Example given on a straight line basis or a declining balance basis. So, napa dito guys. Ang example sa depreciation, method of depreciation. Conclusion. So, depreciation is important to engineering economics because not only it will enable engineers to evaluate an asset's long-term expenses to compare the cost of various projects or assets. So it is also additionally employed in financially analysis to figure out the assets worth of a business for balance sheets needs. So basically need siya if may mga something business ay nga na niya pang long term expenses also pero dili lugi. Then in general, the idea of depreciation is crucial to businesses and organization decision making because it enables them to understand the true cost of maintaining and using an assets over the time. So yeah, that's all.
That's all for today.
Merry
Thank
Christmas,
you.
guys, and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Ay, wala na may questions, no?
Subscribe to our
Oh,
YouTube
Lloyd
channel.
Miles.
I have no
Wala na gid pangat
no questions, sir.
sana. Si Alysa, wala na pangatan sa Alysa. wala na. So, basically mo na natanan. Thank you for listening and have a nice day. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.